Hey everybody, John Michael here. Welcome to H2OMG. And today we're talking about what's possibly the greatest movie ever made. Waterworld, starring Kevin Costner and Dennis Hopper and a bunch of other people. And we have a very special guest with us today. Do you want to introduce yourself, Gilbert?
Yeah, I'm Gilbert Smith. I'm a Customer Service Supervisor with the Forward Public Library.
And this was actually Gilbert's idea to do this movie. So put the blame on him.
It's my fault.
We've been tossing it around for a while because, water is in the title, world's in the title. There's going to be a lot of water.
We set the bar really high.
Yeah.
With the movies we review.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there water in it? Let's do it.
Does anybody drink water in the movie? Then we'll talk about it. But so we've been tossing this one back and forth for a while, and then I did an episode with Gilbert's friend Rita about music librarianship and water music. So we kind of got in touch, and Gilbert said, "Hey, let's do Waterworld," and so I said, "Okay." And I was in Half Price Books right around the time we were talking about that, and I found a copy of the Waterworld novelization, and the full title is okay, I'll just read the full title. Universal Pictures presents Kevin Costner and Dennis Hopper in the motion picture event of the year, Waterworld, a novel by Max Allan Collins based on the motion picture written by Peter Rader and David Twohy. That's the full title. So,
wow.
And
Beautiful.
We can talk about the book later, but let's talk about this movie. So, Waterworld, 1995. I remember 1995.
It was 10 years ago, by the way.
Yeah.
The 90s.
Okay, so do we want to give like a little synopsis of the movie? I think that's what we usually do, right? I think everybody has pretty much seen this movie, or they know what it's about, right? So the premise is the polar ice caps melted and flooded the entire Earth's surface with water, right? There's no land at all, except, spoiler alert, there's a little bit at the end. And they tell, sorry.
Spoilers.
So if you're watching and you haven't seen this movie, don't bother. Just listen to us talk about it. So there's a part at the very beginning of the movie. It's like a little animation that shows the polar ice caps melting. Okay, yeah, we get it. And I was wondering, when I was watching, is there even enough water in the polar ice caps or in the glaciers and all that stuff to cover the Earth? And the answer is no. So I found a little article about it. There's actually a lot of articles about the science of this movie. So I found something on Film School Rejects, and it says the icebergs and the sea ice don't present a flooding potential because they're already floating on it and displacing the amount of water that they would displace anyway. So they're not going to add any to the sea level, right? And even if everything melted, the whole Earth wouldn't be underwater. Like in the movie, he takes her down in this like diving bell thing, and I think they're supposed to be in Denver because you can see some ski lifts and stuff, and so that there's a mountain there underwater, and that wouldn't even come close to happening. But not to burst anybody's bubble too early, but this definitely couldn't happen. So there's Kevin Costner is like a mutant fish man, and he's just minding his own business, and he gets dragged into this thing. There's a tattoo on the back of a little girl that's supposed to go to land, and everybody's chasing her. It's very strange. So Dennis Hopper's a bad guy. He's got this big oil tanker. They're called the Smokers, and they drive around and just cause trouble. Blah blah blah.
Called the Smokers because they're always smoking.
Yeah, they're always smoking, and I think my favorite part of the whole movie is when they're being pushed around the bowels of this oil tanker in an old car, and Dennis Hopper is there throwing out cigarettes to the people like Santa Claus, passing out candy at Christmas. So that's probably my favorite part. And I do like how they have some old man trapped down in a boat in the oil tank to measure how much oil's in there, and he's been there for a long time. That's pretty funny. So there's some funny parts. But so yeah, so everybody's chasing this little girl so they can find the map to land, and they find land.
Can I give my more succinct summary?
Yes, please, yeah.
Waterworld?
Please.
Mad Max on water.
Yeah, but not as good.
Exactly.
So I'm going to give you a hot take. I kind of like this.
Oh, yeah?
Really?
But now
And I think...
You told me that you hadn't seen it.
It's a nostalgia thing.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I think it was like a nostalgia thing. So I was telling Rita, so I was going to watch it, and I rented it, and Rita was with me, and Rita's just like, I've never seen this movie. I was like, sit down. You're going to watch it with me. So we're watching it together, and I was telling her, when I was a kid, we used to go hang out with my like great uncle in Irving. We didn't see him very often, and our movie choices were limited. If we were hanging out in the kids' room, it was something like Aladdin 3 and Sleeping Beauty, like specifically those two. But if we had like the living room, it was either Waterworld, which I always wanted to see, or Dumb and Dumber, which my brother always wanted to see. And I'm like, well, Dumb and Dumber, I wanted to see Waterworld. And I didn't remember anything about it until I'm watching this again with Rita. And then there was like two specific points that jumped out at me. And I was like, this was so cool. So Mad Max on water, I totally get it. I kind of like it.
Yeah, they're like, okay, it's famous for being like one of the most expensive movies ever made. And you can tell like there's some really good effects and there's some great stunts and stuff. And I think it's a neat idea, but I don't know, something about it. There's like, I think it's too long. And why do Kevin Costner's movies have to be so long? Every single movie he's in is over 2 hours. And so the version that I watched was 2 hours and 15 minutes. And there's a director's cut out there that's 3 hours. And so I don't know what they added to that, but I hopefully you guys just watched the regular cut with me. Okay, good. So,
what if it's really good stuff that they added?
Yeah, maybe they cut out all the good stuff. Because I wrote down the lengths of the movies that we watched. So Michelle, I think, has been on every movie episode, I think, and so we've watched. It's me and you that are the consistent ones, and we give everybody a chance in our group to watch it. And me and you were the ones who end up actually doing it most of the time.
Well, I think most of the time the group is like, why did they pick this movie? I don't have time for that.
Yeah. Or I have to pay $2.99 for this on Amazon. No thanks.
Yeah. No thanks.
So me and Michelle have watched Dune, which came in at 136 minutes. We watched 47 Meters Down, which came in at 89 minutes. That was a nice breeze, easy breeze through our brains. We watched Waterworld came in at 135 minutes. Batman Begins was at 140 minutes, which is really too long.
Oh.
But Mutiny on the Bounty was 185 minutes that we watched, and that had an intermission and everything. That's a Marlon Brando movie, Gilbert. So that was a stinker. But probably up until now, that probably had the most water of any movie we've watched in it, I would say. Maybe.
Yeah, but this one takes it.
Absolutely.
Covered in water.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But just
I will
wanted to
say
run through
this,
those
knowing it
sometimes.
has a director's cut, I'm kind of curious about it.
I don't know where to find it.
Go watch it.
So not to divert too much, but have y'all seen the director's cut of Aliens?
I'm sure I have.
So there's a director's cut of Aliens, and it adds about 45 minutes. And I actually think it's a better and more complete, if Aliens could get better, in my opinion, more complete storytelling of the story.
Now, not to be a total nerd or anything. Let me push my glasses up. Are you talking about Aliens or Alien?
I know. I think I'm talking about Aliens, second one.
Okay, cool.
Anyways, I'm just saying
that's my
the
favorite
45-minute director's cut is really good. To me, it plugs some little holes that it had.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes me curious if
Now,
because there's some holes in Waterworld.
Yeah.
That if the director's cut also kind of helps flesh out the story a little bit.
Yeah. Now, I just want to get it on the record.
More torture. I don't know.
I just want to get it on the record right now. 45 minutes more of Aliens is something that I could stand for sure. So you make that movie as long as you want. I love it. But do you want to give
I only saw them recently for the first time.
You saw it recently for the first time?
Yeah. So I think I'd seen Alien like many times, but I'd never seen like the series. And so my friends were like, yeah, let's go buy them at half price. Let's watch them all. And I was like pretty into it. And then Alien 3 happened. And
oh yeah,
oh god,
Alien 3 is bad. And you know the really sad part is there's a version of the script out there that William Gibson wrote, and they could have filmed that, but instead they went with whatever Aliens 3 is. We don't have to get
the grungy music video.
Oh god, it's bad. Yeah, it's like a 9 Inch Nails video. I don't know how long the movie is, but
insult 9 Inch Nails.
Look, I'm sorry.
And I love 9 Inch Nails. I love 9 Inch Nails, but I don't want to see like a movie about them.
I don't think I've ever even seen a 9 Inch Nails music video. So Michelle, do you want to give your synopsis? That's probably gonna be better than mine.
Well, that was it. It was Mad Max.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. That is better than mine.
There's, I don't know how much, I mean, I think it's like an interesting premise. And if you think about it, for 1995, that was very forward thinking. I mean, and to be bringing up that concept at that time was very brave of Kevin Costner. If I recall correctly, he used a lot of his movie capital that he got from, I don't know, is this before Field of Dreams? Like, where is this in? I should have looked this up, where this is in the Field of Dreams, Dances with Wolves. I believe this is post Dances with Wolves. But so I think I remember vaguely hearing at the time that like he was just kind of given license to run his show because he had these hugely successful movies and he chose to do it about this. And I remember, I read a lot of People at the time. And I remember that it was like a thing, like, oh, he's crazy. He's, doing this semi kind of topic that's way out there and he's wasting all his money and all this stuff. So I'll give him props for that, for tackling a subject that now is always kind of chit-chatted about, or kind of these apocalyptic, climate-related movies are almost common now. But back then, I think it was pretty, out there.
Yeah,
so I'll give him some credit for, he was kind of like 15 years ahead of the game or more.
Yeah.
He is after all those films.
Was
this
it?
one was
Okay.
after all those films.
Oh, okay.
I thought I remember he kind of used his, and then after that, I think he kind of lost a lot of movie capital. Like it kind of sunk him a little bit.
He had a couple of big flops, like the Postman.
Speaking of Kevin Costner, So speaking of Kevin Costner, the thing that we were talking about, Rita and I, as we were watching this, is he supposed to be, and granted, I was a child, growing up during this decade. So is he supposed to be the hot guy? Like the leading man?
Yeah.
Because we were talking about him in films in general, and we're like, we don't really see Kevin Costner that way. Now, cool guy, respect him, whatever. But like we were talking about like Wyatt Earp and JFK and Waterworld, like he's not the one that I see opposing, or opposite a leading female and being like, yeah, romance.
Yeah.
So when those kind of awkward moments happened in this film, Rita and I were both like, oh, are they gonna kiss?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They didn't have a lot of chemistry on screen, and also it made it a little bit tougher when he's supposed to be the hero, right? And I get it that he's an anti-hero and there's a big hero's arc that he goes through. But right after the little girl, I can't remember anybody's name, the little girl and the lady who go on his boat and he's taking them wherever, they meet this trader out in the middle of the ocean and he decides to sell them or her for a couple of pieces of magazine paper. And it's just like, wow, this guy's supposed to be the hero. And then I can't remember if that's before or after the little girl says he has ugly hair, and so he throws her overboard, and she almost dies because she can't swim. And by the way, you live on Waterworld and you can't swim, that's your fault.
What?
That's
like criminal. That's like child
has
neglect.
a moment. he has a moment where he like teaches her, and it's like, oh, she learned how to swim, but no one taught her. Like before this moment, no one took the time to be like, hold on, 2 seconds, everybody.
Yeah,
let's go practice.
Exactly. And it shows the lady on the boat looking at them, and there's like this music, and there's like, oh, they're really bonding. Isn't he such a great guy? It's like 10 minutes ago he tried to murder her. So I don't know if we should be forgetting that so quickly.
He got mad at everybody and then just cut their hair.
Yeah, exactly. I don't remember why he did that, like what made him mad, but he takes a big knife and he cuts their hair off, and then they both have to wear these weird wigs for the rest of the movie. And my wife knows, because I mentioned this, everything we watch, wigs really bother me. If they're bad, I can't stop looking at them, and it really distracts me. Yeah. And it gets on her nerves because I won't stop talking about it. So a bad wig in a movie is just like a killer for me. But so the little girl has like the rest of the movie, she's got like this puffy little thing on, looks like kind of like a David Bowie almost, or like one of the Menendez brothers.
Not cool.
Yeah. No, it's not a good look. But let me see.
I feel like Kevin Costner though, like when I watched this movie, so I'm suspecting I'm a little bit older than you guys. I was like 14, but so I remember kind of all the hoopla, but I didn't watch it at the time. I remember really wanting to watch it. Mm-hmm. I just never did until I was an adult. But like when I saw this, because I've seen Dances with Wolves like a ton of times. I actually really like that movie.
I've never seen that.
And so, but it just like his personality reminded me of his personality in Dancing with Wolves. Like it's the same kind of anti-hero, kind of gruff. I'm so protected. You got to break my shell. I got to be by myself. Okay, I'll kind of help you, but I got to go it alone.
Kind of the same thing from.
He's kind of insufferable. Like
that's sort of the plot.
Yourself, Kevin Costner.
The same plot of When Harry Met Sally. Think about that.
So was that a 90s thing? Was it just a like closed off
and that's
masculinity that was just
that's
popular?
What I'm saying. Like I was 14, but not aware enough to pick up on those kind of things. So that's what I'm wondering too, because that was similar to his characters. I'm like, so maybe this was a thing like in the mid 90s.
Yeah.
Kind of rough.
You know that
character.
Look how far we've come, you guys.
I know.
Now we're just like, hey, open up and show some emotion, please.
Yeah.
Come
on.
You bring up a really good point, Michelle, because when I was watching this, I was thinking about the time in which it was filmed, right? And I looked it up, and one of my favorite movies of all time, The Fifth Element, came out in 1997, just 2 years later. And I was going to say that this movie feels a little bit more dated. And you can watch The Fifth Element, and it feels timeless. And I don't know. I'm a huge Fifth Element fan, so I'm gonna say, I'm never gonna say anything bad about it. But it just feels, you can just feel the difference there. But it's the same thing with like Bruce Willis in that movie. He's very closed off, very like gruff and just world weary and not having it. And then by the end of the movie, the whole point of the movie is, and spoiler alert, is that the fifth element is love. And so he has this moment at the movie where he can save humanity by just telling her that he loves her. And there's still this hesitation. It's like, all you have to do is say it. Like, is it really that hard, Bruce Willis? So that's a really good connection. I think, that there were a lot of like, I think that a lot of that was going on, just like you said.
So glad we're getting past that. Yikes.
Well, yeah.
Oh.
We're trying anyway.
Yeah. Baby steps.
So let's see. Oh, okay. So let's go back to the beginning of this movie. And I'll talk about the book a little too, because this book, you can see it doesn't pretend to be its own thing. It's just got a straight up picture of Kevin Costner on the front. Very boring. And then all three of them on the back.
Does it start the same way that the film does?
It's exactly the same, and that's why I stopped reading it, because it's just shot for shot. And so so on the first page, let me see. Actually, the third page is when he does the famous peeing scene into the plant, and then it filters it and he drinks it. And that is the scene that everybody talks about, and it's just sad for this movie that the most famous scene and the most well-loved and talked about scene happens 10 seconds into the movie. And you're giving me a weird look, Gilbert.
Oh, I was like, well loved.
Well,
Like,
people.
the moment I saw it, I was like, oh my god, this is how this movie starts.
But people, that's like what everybody knows, right? They're like, oh yeah, he pees in the plant. And so maybe well loved is a bad description.
My
but
favorite part of the movie.
Well, it's certainly what stuck with me since 1995. I can remember, I think I was 10 in 1995, and I can remember watching this at a sleepover in Will Sipes' basement. And I'm pretty sure, maybe I'm mixing up my sleepovers, but I'm pretty sure we watched Waterworld, played some Mortal Kombat, and somebody brought their Virtual Boy, which if there's any little kids listening, it's a thing. It's like a Game Boy. It's like a Nintendo Switch, but it's a Game Boy, and there was no light on the screen, but you plugged this little thing on a tripod into it somehow, and or did you plug that into the Nintendo? Whatever. Okay, the Virtual Boy is a little goggles when you put your eyes up to it, and everything is like red lines, laser drawn line drawings, and that was a game.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, it gave you terrible headaches. It was just an awful thing, but it was fun.
I never owned it. I just remember seeing it like at the Toys R Us and playing it like, oh, you guys go do your thing. I'm going to play this.
Yeah.
And then just being like, how am I supposed to play on this tripod?
I think so too. Like, didn't own it, but somebody I knew did, or I tried it at this toy store.
Yeah, I never owned it. But can you guys imagine a time where you can go into a store and put something on your eyes and up to your face? That's long gone.
Yeah. Those days are over.
COVID has broken me. I can't watch a film or a commercial or a TV show. People are just like, oh, let's gather around in this meeting space. And I'm yelling at the TV with Rita like, no one's wearing masks.
Me too. I'm like, y'all are all way too close.
Yeah.
You're making me anxious. Stop.
But yeah.
That's what it is now. It's just a constant anxiety watching TV shows.
Yeah, people being too close. I'm just like,
yeah.
No.
But I
can see all the little air particles just going, all the little puffs of clouds like that. Or I just don't talk, like nobody talk, just walk past each other. But where were you going with your story? So that's where you saw it, and the pee thing is what stuck out with you.
That's what I've always remembered, and I hardly remember it. I'd seen it a couple of times since childhood, but I didn't really remember a whole lot of it. And I'm going to be totally honest, I zoned out a little bit. When the little girl had been captured on Dennis Hopper's boat, I kind of zoned out. But yeah, so the pee thing happens. He pees into some kind of contraption, and in the book it describes it as a Rube Goldberg contraption. And then it filters it, and he drinks it. And it's like, if they can figure out how to instantly turn pee into drinkable water, why can't they just desalinate the water? That's my big question.
That's a very good question.
You would think
when this was in the future. So
yeah. We don't know how far in the future, but yeah, come on. So yeah, so he's got those, like these baseball sized limes on a tree the size of a bonsai tree. Yeah. And I've tried to grow a lime tree before, and it's not easy. And I did not get nice juicy limes like that. Mine were like the size of kidney stones and have about as much moisture as a stone. So that's unbelievable to me. But then a guy comes up while Kevin Costner goes underwater, and his whole job is that he digs up artifacts. So people love artifacts, and they also use dirt as a currency, which is another thing I want to get into. But he digs up all this stuff, and then he trades it in little floating towns. And so while he's down there, he can stay down there for a long time because he has gills. So while he's down there, this trader comes up in a boat and steals his limes. And then Kevin Costner comes up, and he's very suspicious, and the guy's pulling away, and then you find out that the guy stole all his limes, and that's got to be like, he sees him from a distance. He sees all the limes. The guy's holding up his limes and like sticking his tongue out at him. And even though he can see the guy with his limes, he has to swing all the way over and look really closely at his tree for like a long time just to make sure. And it's like, how can you not see from all the way across your boat that your limes are gone? You have to confirm. Anyway, so the guy steals his limes. I don't know if he gets those limes back, but whatever. That's not an important plot.
So I took note of that because I think some smokers show up and he gets them to kill the thief, but then he doesn't have his limes anyway, so it's like, oh, just murder for murder's sake.
At least get your stuff back.
Because Mad Max on the water, right? It's just murder.
Yeah, they're establishing his anti-hero credentials pretty quick. So then he goes to town, the little floating town. They're very suspicious of him because he's an outsider, I guess, and he wants to trade all his stuff that he's dug up for he wants to trade it for water, but and this is the part I don't understand, and they go into the economics a little bit in the book too, and I don't understand economics in the real world, okay? So I'm not the best person to talk about this, but why? I guess I can understand why people would want dirt, so you can grow things, right? But instead, so all the stuff that he trades, she gives him something called a chit. And it's just like, it looks like these little, I don't know, wooden discs or something. It's like, why would these be a currency? Why would these be useful? In this water world where everything is about survival, how could these possibly be of use to anyone? It's like, I can understand trading dirt and water because those are both useful. But a chit is like some meaningless thing. You know what I'm saying? It's just like...
Is that like commentary?
Like it wasn't a one-for-one trade.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, I don't know why people want old junk anyway. Like he gives her a rearview mirror. Like, why does she want that? Why is that worth anything?
So he didn't give her the mirror. He showed the mirror to the kids. Like he pulls up and there's just a bunch of like hoodlums, like these little teenagers, right, that are just on the side.
Oliver Twist.
He's like flashing it in their faces. And they're like, he's like, do you want this? And the kids are like, yeah, we want that weird, mysterious mirror. He's like, well, I've got one for each of you if all my stuff is still there when I get back. Rear view mirrors.
But like everybody loves all this junk that he pulls up, and I don't understand why. I guess it's interesting to see this stuff from the world before, but it can't be of any like real use. Like I don't know. I don't understand economics, and I don't understand whatever. It's obviously they didn't think about it.
I mean, I think he's trying to make like a commentary, right? Like it's like novelty. I mean, don't we like weird little things that really have no use for us? I mean, I just bought a nightlight that looks like a Christmas tree. I mean, like what is that doing? I mean, if anything, it's very wasteful. Think of all the chemicals. It had to travel, got delivered to my door, but I wanted a nightlight that looked like a Christmas tree, which by the way, it's really cool because you switch it and then the little lights on the inside pop up. See, so that is so dumb. And I did all this, get that. Wow. So I think that's like humans, I think we like trinkets. We like little novel stuff. And I think maybe he's trying to make a thing like their novel stuff is like trash or things that we would just.
That's a deep reading of
laugh. I mean, if you think about it, like I look at my tree and I'm like, I love it, but also I'm like a little ashamed by it because I'm like, Michelle, that does not like, what is the point of that? Like, what was all the waste that went in to make that happen? You know? So maybe that's just me and my psychosis, but so I feel like maybe there's something like that. Like their trinkets are just weird little odds and ends.
Sort of saying something about our consumerism.
That's what I'm thinking.
Wow, you're giving this a lot of credit.
Same thing with their currency that they had, you know, like their world is so desperate, I guess, compared to like our world. And so you would think, why would you want to use, like, what can we do with money? Like if it was to really go down, you're going to burn it for heat. Like what you going to do with it, you know, so I feel like there might be, I don't know. I think there's a lot of kind of subtle political undertones in this movie that
you've flipped me.
I don't know I don't claim to know what Kevin Costner is trying to say, to be honest, but I think he was trying to do some little kind of make you think kind of thing.
You've totally flipped me. Okay, I'm with you now. I understand.
Again, I don't know what actually he's trying to say.
This is the
I think he's
deepest
trying to
movie
say
we've ever
something.
seen.
Yeah. Which means he didn't do a great job, right? Like we should be able to figure it out.
Well, so since we're still in the town, the other thing is that you see I think when he's first pulling up in there, he sees this funeral taking place where they're dumping this dead body into this sludge. It looks like baby food, I think, and they dump the body into that, and there's like these priests and they're giving it whatever, and I think. What I understood from it when I was a kid is that maybe they say this, I don't remember, but maybe they say because they're trying to, I guess, get some more dirt, right? Like turn these sludge into dirt. Is that what's happening? Why are they? They
called it recycling, but was this like quicksand? Does that happen? Does it just turn you into like? What process did they think was going on here?
Yeah, exactly. Like clearly they'd been doing this for a while because that stuff was pretty soupy and sludgy. But
yeah,
that I don't know. I just thought when I was a kid, I was like, oh, okay, they're just making more dirt, which I guess would eventually happen. Give it long enough. I don't know. So he spends some time in town. He buys everything at the store, and then he's going to leave. And there's a very uncomfortable scene. We'll skip that. But basically they find out that he has gills. I don't know. They grab him and they see he has gills and they just fly into a rage, like a murderous rage, that he's a mutant. But it's like, wouldn't you want those genes? Like the very useful mutation to have on Waterworld would be to be able to breathe underwater and he also has webbed feet. I don't know if he has webbed hands. I don't think he does because nobody sees that, but.
So as a kid, I thought the gills behind his ears, I thought that was the coolest thing. That's one of the two things that I remember as a child. And when they talked about his webbed feet, I was like, oh, I remember something about that. But they don't look like webbed feet, right? It's not like he spread his toes and you're like, oh, I can see how this is going to help you swim.
Yeah.
It looked like a plastic bag, like just jelly stretched over his toes. And I'm like, that doesn't look cool. That doesn't look like, oh, that's going to be very practical and help you while you're in the water.
Oh.
Yeah, they don't. I noticed that they talk about his web feet a lot, but they don't really show them all that much. So it's kind of like saving some money on makeup.
Maybe that's like where they tapped out on the budget.
Yeah, because they had to build a floating town.
Most expensive movie at the time, and they couldn't spring out for like better webbing between the toes.
You know what? I was thinking, was there a lot of, I feel, granted, this is 1995, so this might be a very stupid statement, but I'm sure there's CGI-ish stuff starting to go around this time, like isn't that at the very, very beginning? Like there was none, was there?
Hang on.
Most of the stuff, if I recall, most of the scenes look real.
Yeah, I think most of the effects are practical effects. Like
right?
Maybe at the end when the boat blows up and Dennis Hopper gets consumed in fire, I'm sure that's some kind of CGI. But
the explosion.
Yeah. And then that really bad that scene where he decides to use himself as a fishing lure and gets eaten by a big fish. That fish that pops up looks so bad. It's awful. And the fish eats him.
It was only on screen for like half a second.
Exactly.
Right? It was just this quick thing. And like I said, Rita was just like, what was that? And I was like, yeah, they said it was a monster, and he lured it up and I guess exploded it or something, and now they're eating. And she goes, what monsters? There's monsters under there?
Yeah.
No one's talked about sea monsters.
Yeah, they never talk about it ever again. The only thing is you see, like you said, you see it for about half a second, and you can just tell the lighting is all wrong, and there's something off about it, and very bad. And you can tell that's not a shark. So it's supposed to be some kind of monster, and they never talk about it. You never see them again, I don't think. I did like how he was using himself as a little fishing lure. And instead of, if the monster decided to bite him in half, it would have been over. But there's probably better ways to fish, I would think. So he gets captured, and they put him in a little like bird cage, and they're gonna kill him because he's a mutant. That's probably another little thing they're trying to say, right, Michelle? About
maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's very 90s X-Men though, right? Like anyone who's different was the outcast,
yeah,
regardless of,
yeah.
race or sex.
The word mutant is such a 90s term, like the Mutant Ninja Turtles and the X-Men, and that's the only two I can think of. But that's quite a bit, and I just remember mutant all when I was a kid. Everything was mutants. So okay, so they're about to dip him down into the sludge to execute him, and the smokers attack. There's like a really long action scene. Blah blah blah. The main thing I noticed in the action scenes in this movie is that a lot of the action is just people turning cranks or pulling ropes to make things happen, and it's a very strange choice. But whatever. Because like even on his ship, he's got all these gadgets, and he's constantly pulling a rope or like using a pulley, and something shoots out. Yeah, exactly. Cranks like that, like bicycle pedal cranks with his hands. Constantly, and ropes being attached to things. Even like in the final movie, he takes Dennis Hopper down out of that airplane by attaching a carabiner on a rope to a thing, and then it pulls the wheels off the plane, and Dennis Hopper crashes. So it's like ropes, cranks. Yeah. Anyway, I just noticed that. I just thought it was weird. Oh, and my other favorite part is I'll say that a lot of my favorite parts are the smokers scenes where they're on the boat, because it's just more fun than what's going on with Kevin Costner. And they don't cut back to them enough. I wish there was more smoker stuff. And one of my favorite parts is when they're doing like a briefing with Dennis Hopper, and he says that they're running low on gas, and his main solution to save gas is to stop the tractor pulls. I thought that was great. Like they're out there having a blast. They're doing tractor pulls on boats. They got jet skis. You want to be a smoker in this world, clearly. But you hear them call gasoline go juice a lot, and I was wondering if you guys thought, or if you have a preference between go juice here in Waterworld or guzzling in Mad Max Fury Road. Which do you think is the better future term for gasoline? We asked the hard-hitting questions here.
Yeah, that's
Go juice sounds very primitive. Like, oh, you put this over here and it makes you go. So the go juice is like this. Just everyone turns into idiocracy, and oh, it's the go juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me be like, I would be like, can I drink this because it's juice? Yeah. See, I just think that's a dangerous way to refer to it. So
That's what the smokers are all about. Safety.
Yeah. Cigarettes.
Yeah.
they probably were drinking it. Yeah, no, that was another thing.
Let's see.
I will say this, the deacon, again, like the deacon,
Just Dennis Hopper's
the
character.
Baron.
Mhm.
Like, were they trying to do a little bit of Dune stuff there? Also, what was up with the one eye? I guess, are we trying to do some pirate kind of stuff? Like what?
So something happened because he had both eyes, I thought, at the beginning, and there was this scene where, and I think, so Jack Black is in the movie, and Rita loves Jack Black, and right? And
Yeah,
so
I love
when
Jack Black
pointed that
too.
out, she was like, "Where? Who? Where?"
I totally
So there's
missed
this
that.
one, yeah. So there's this one little scene where I think it's Jack Black in some like turret thing shooting to the side. Right?
Actually, he's that. I thought that was Jack Black too, because I found out he was in it, and I was watching for him because I love Jack Black too. But yeah, what you're saying is Dennis Hopper loses his eye, and he blames it on the Mariner, Kevin Costner's character. And so there's a great scene later where he's putting a fake eye in, and it pops out, and blah blah blah. But Jack Black is actually the pilot of the little airplane that they shoot with a harpoon gun. He's the pilot. So you don't see him very much. But you can hear his voice once I knew it was him, and I think I saw it on IMDb. It said pilot, and I was like, oh, okay. So when the airplane came up, I was like, oh, this is Jack Black. And when you know it's him, you can hear his voice, and then you only see him for like one other scene. But yeah, So I was really excited to see
And I
him.
think that's how he loses the eye. So I thought it was him because I heard the voice and I was like, wait, there he is. And you can't tell that's him because he's got like giant mask and goggles and paint or something.
And dirt, yeah.
But the mariner gets him, like tricks him by getting him to aim like some turret the wrong way or something. And there's some big explosion and the beacon gets wounded and that's how he loses. Like there's all just the whole,
Yeah.
this is my eye, this is where it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was just this quick thing.
And then they paint like a ball bearing or something and just stick it in there. And it's pretty funny. I did like that part. Like all Dennis Hopper scenes are the best scenes.
They were good. They were good. He's asking his crew, like, how does it look? And it looks just ridiculous and, like, big and fake. And everyone's like, it looks great, boss. And there's just one, like, kid that's like, it looks horrible.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, thanks. And he pops out.
Yeah, that was I'll give him credit for that scene.
So I made some... So we were talking about the book, and I bought it at Half Price Books back when I think we first had the idea to do this in June or sometime in the summer, and things kind of got in the way, but I bought the book, and I was very embarrassed to buy it, and I was glad because I bought it at pretty much right after things started to open back up after the pandemic started to ease a little bit, and everybody was wearing masks, and I was very glad that I was wearing a mask so that she couldn't see my face when I bought this. And I was sure that she was going to be like, why are you... I mean, they have to see people buy a lot of weird stuff all day at Half Price Books, right? But I was sure they were going to be like, what are you doing with this? Because it was the only thing I bought. And $4 too much, by the way. But she didn't. She was very gracious and didn't comment on it. Let me go about my merry way. So I think somebody mentioned this earlier, but there is still to this day a Waterworld live sea spectacular stunt show going on in multiple places across the world from 1995 to this day. They do this stunt show all the time. And I found people love it. I found some articles about it. There's it started on October 23rd, 1995 is the first day it started. It also has other versions in Universal Studios Japan and Singapore, and a third is planning to open next year in Beijing. This Wikipedia article is old, so they probably pushed that back. But still, a third Waterworld is being built as we speak. It's crazy.
What?
So I'm sure there's videos of it. I haven't seen any, but I know.
I was going to say, I bet there's YouTube videos of people watching it. You know?
And I know that, I'm sure that in the stunt show, there's a lot of zip lining happen. That's a very 90s thing. We had a zip line in our backyard, and it was very like, that my dad built, and it was very like a 90s thing, zip lining places. I don't know. There's also, in my vast research that I did for this, I also found a website from the year 2000 made by a man who was obsessed with the boat from the movie The Mariner's Boat, the Trireme, I think. And I found this because like one of the first things it describes in the book is that he has an egg beater sail. And I was like, what's an egg beater sail? Is that a real thing? And I don't remember if I ever found out if it was a real thing or not, but I stumbled onto this website where this guy details the building of the boat. And I think it still exists somewhere. I don't know if a private person owns it or if Universal Studios has it. Somebody still has this boat anyway, but this guy loves this boat. He talks about how it was built, all the different gadgets and stuff. So if anybody out there knows if an egg beater sail is a real thing, let me know, because he does have one in the movie. It's like this thing, sure enough, it looks like an egg beater, and it's just spinning around, but it's not really a sail. It's just this metal thing, and I don't see how that would help you propel yourself. I have no idea. I don't know anything about economics. I don't know anything about sailing. So just put that out there. I think
there are YouTube videos about it, by the way. You can do Waterworld show Universal Singapore.
I might have to do that.
See what this is about.
Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of explosions.
I mean, maybe we're poking fun at it because it's very 90s. The explosions and the jokes and the the styling. But immediately starting off with the pee scene, rolled my eyes and it's like, oh god. But it had a cool premise of like the water and mutation and so.
There are some cool themes. I'm not gonna. Yeah. So a couple of things. Like I said, I stopped reading the book at page 75.
How many pages is it?
It's 308.
Like 1,000.
Yeah. It's like 308 pages. But it I stopped at page 75, and that only covers about 20 minutes of the movie. So I'm not sure. I was about a third of the way, and only like a tenth of the way through the movie. I'm not good at math either. But it's like, wow, it really a lot of detail. And I'll say there are a couple of things in the book that it does add to the universe to the Waterworld universe. And so some of my favorite things are it has a lot of Waterworld themed cuss words, which I don't think I can say on here because they just combine our regular cuss words with sea stuff. But I'll tell you guys after I turn off. I think I'm coming up with a few in my brain. Oh, in the book it describes somebody in the bar where he goes to trade in the little town. It describes somebody who's a hydroholic, like an alcoholic, but with water. And it's like, I think we're all technically hydroholics. We have to have water. And how is drinking water going to make you drunk? Anyway, they didn't get into that in the movie. And let's see, there's some new months that they came up with in Waterworld that I really liked. And they don't talk about this in the movie, and I wonder why. But the new months are Farch, Mapril, Saugust, and then June. They kept June the same for some reason. I don't know why they're mentioning this in the book.
Because we didn't watch the director's cut.
Yeah. I bet you're right. I bet they do say this stuff in the director's cut. Let's see. That's really all that was interesting from the book. Like I said, I quit. I don't usually quit books, but this was too much. It did mention, I was keeping a running count of how many times it mentioned that his pants were cutoffs. And in 75 pages, I got up to 2 mentions of that, which seems like a lot. But, so
they were weird.
Huh?
They were weird. I just remember like striped kind of in a very Tim Burton-y kind of way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like piratey for sure.
Yeah.
I think in the book it also mentions that they're made out of fish skin. So, but I would like to know more about those pants. So if anybody has any websites on how they made Kevin Costner's pants in the movie, let me know.
I'm like kind of looking at his outfit, and I feel like I'm getting a little steampunk vibes with this kind of look here. They were just so ahead of the game.
Yeah, I could see how the world kind of go in that direction.
Yeah.
And maybe it could have been cooler if it leaned heavier into it.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Because he's got the vest, right? And steampunk
are
all about vests.
I guess I never really caught, which it would make practical sense that he has these like hand guards on. I mean, if you're pulling ropes and gears all the time.
Constantly.
So I guess that's more practical, but it does look very kind of that steampunky to me. Again, that wasn't a thing then, but
I think we should move on to the part of the podcast where we recast the movie. And I think we've done this before, right, Michelle? Or do we just do that?
Oh no, we
personally?
have. We've done it before.
So, but this time, I've asked everybody to, as they were watching and as they're thinking about this movie, to recast this with only deceased actors and actresses, and that's because they're never going to remake Waterworld, so we might as well draw on some talent that's passed away. So, are you guys ready? I wrote down a couple. Do you have any ideas, Michelle?
Come up with any. So y'all are gonna. I'll let you all take over on this.
Okay. How about you, Gilbert?
So I'm typically bad at actors, and I was telling Rita, like, the first person that came to mind was Marlon Brando, and she was like, because you don't know any dead people. I was like, I know, I'm stressing out about this. And then she said, well, what about Heath Ledger? And I'm like, well, I guess you could have that kind of a gloomy anti-hero, mopey, walls built up around you kind of thing for the Mariner. I was like, sure, whatever.
I think you would have been more. I think you would have been more charming for sure. Then
yeah.
You would have actually had a hot guy for the main character.
I actually don't think that, even though this is in Brando's range.
We mentioned Mutiny on the Bounty. I
feel like that was a bad call. Huh?
We mentioned Mutiny on the Bounty earlier, the 185-minute movie that we watched, and me and Michelle are never watching a Marlon Brando movie for this podcast ever again. That was one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess he's in The Godfather, and he gets props for that. But
is there water in that?
I don't think there's any water in there, so we will not be covering that.
On the waterfront.
On
the waterfront. That's Marlon Brando, right? Whatever.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. I have no idea. It's, but
yeah, I could see characters like and definitely Keith Ledger just kind of scraggling. Yeah.
Okay.
Anti-hero.
I wrote down a few. If you don't have any, Gilbert, I can go through mine. Okay, here we go. So for again, these are all deceased, sadly deceased actors. So rest in peace. But for the Mariner, I would say Rowdy Roddy Piper would have been a good choice.
Is that a wrestler?
Yeah, he was. I'm going to leave all that silence in. That's great.
Who?
Rowdy
Rita in the back of my head saying like, Gilbert, I've mentioned this name to you before.
Yeah, Rita would know.
Y'all talked about wrestling.
Rita would know exactly who I'm talking about. So he's a great anti-hero. He's also very funny. And he's in a really good movie called They Live. I think it was a John Carpenter movie. Anyway, Rowdy Roddy Piper is my pick for the Mariner. For the old scientist man, who's maybe the main lady's dad, I don't know. You only see him for a few minutes, and he comes again at the end. He's like an old scientist guy. He's building all his gadgets, whatever. I would choose Mickey Rooney. I think he'd be a good choice. He's very short, very wily, very crotchety. I think he would have been a good choice. I'm gonna save my best for last. I think it's my best anyway. I thought Rowdy Roddy Piper was pretty good, and I got a whole lot of crickets from you guys. So for the guy, I don't know this guy's name, but he was always hanging around with Dennis Hopper's character Deacon, and he had like this long mane of red hair. And you see him in the bar at the beginning. He steals Kevin Costner's boots, and he's like Deacon's second in command. I don't know if they ever say his. I'm sure they say his name, but I wasn't paying attention. I would pick Rutger Hauer for him. I think he'd be a good choice. And for the part of Deacon, instead of Dennis Hopper, I would choose Jim Varney. Because you guys know who Jim Varney is? He plays Ernest in the Ernest movies. Ernest Goes to Jail. Ernest Scared Stupid. But now listen, hear me out. Because in Ernest Goes to Jail, the late great Jim Varney plays two parts. He plays Ernest, and he plays an evil criminal who switches places with Ernest. And so Jim Varney has to play both of those parts. And lovable Ernest, Jim Varney, is in jail while his evil twin is out causing trouble under his name. And he plays the evil part so good because you only ever see Ernest being happy-go-lucky and like I said, a lovable guy. And then you're seeing Jim Varney play this evil character, and he's really good at it. And I've seen Ernest Goes to Jail a million times. And when I was a kid, he used to scare me. Like I was like, wow, he's really evil. Anyway, Jim Varney. Do you guys know who I'm talking about now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Although I haven't seen Ernest Goes to Jail. I think I've only seen it maybe once or twice, but I've seen the Halloween one quite a bit.
Ernest Scared Stupid. Yeah. So that's a big flop, huh?
Well, we didn't know like half your actors, but
my friend Andy, who listens to every episode, he'll know what I'm talking about. So that's for you, Andy.
That's for that part's for him.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm sure there's movie buffs, so they in the crowd, so they all knew who you were talking about, and we were just like, what?
If anybody,
great choices.
Thank you. If anybody listening has any picks, about which dead actors they would put in Waterworld, we can be found on our social media at FWWater, on Twitter in English at FWWater, on Twitter in Spanish at FWAgua. We also have an English and a Spanish Facebook, Fort Worth Agua and Fort Worth Water. We have an Instagram at SaveFWWater. We have a YouTube, Fort Worth Water. You can find us anywhere. So let us know your dead actor picks. Or if you haven't, we're also looking for suggestions for future movies to do. So if you see a movie with a lot of water in it, let us know. I know there was a movie with the girl from Twilight, just straight up called Underwater, which probably has a lot of water in it. So we should probably watch that. I think it just came out this year. You look like you have a suggestion, Gilbert.
I would love to do Shape of Water with y'all if y'all haven't already done it.
We haven't done it. That's a good movie, though. Like Guillermo del Toro. You haven't seen it, Michelle?
I have not.
It's good. Yeah, we should do that. Okay. We'll get that on the schedule.
I was going to say, we referenced that movie while we were watching it because the only other scene I remember from my childhood, of course, was where they have to go underwater and she's like, wait, I can't breathe. And he's like, I'll breathe for you. And I remember that scene and Rita called me out on it. And she's like, you just like Shape of Water. So, spoilers.
Oh yeah, Michelle, the popcorn ratings. I actually don't know what I would give it. Do you guys have a rating between 1 and 5? Or we also go to 0? What's your popcorn rating?
I'm gonna give it Waterworld. I'm gonna give it a 2.
Okay.
Because I think it's trying. It was trying. It was trying to do something. I don't know that it totally hit it. It's magnificently 90s. I'll give it that. There's a lot in there. And it was trying. I don't think it's actually horrible. It was just not good. Or to me, it wasn't good. But it was trying. It was trying to say something, I think. It was trying to do something. It was trying to be really different. Just didn't quite get there. So I'll give it 2 for trying.
2 bags of popcorn. Okay. Gilbert?
I would also do 2. I didn't hate it. I think it comes up a lot now everywhere as like the movie that people cannot stand and it was so horrible. And I didn't get that vibe while I was watching it. Yeah. I wouldn't watch it again. I didn't hate it, but I wouldn't watch it again.
Okay. Yeah. As we've talked about it, I know I came out pretty hard at the beginning of this, very anti-Waterworld, but as we've been talking about it and thinking about all the different little parts that I did like, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense. But I mean, come on, it's supposed to be entertainment. It's science fiction. I think that my actor picks are better than the ones they chose in real life, but I did like Dennis Hopper's scenes. I love Jack Black is only in it for a few seconds, but he makes any movie he's in better. So I think I might give it a 2.5 actually. Yeah, what a twist there at the end. But I think my main complaint is that it's too long, and they don't show enough of the fun part with the smokers. So, but yeah, too long. But Shape of Water is pretty long, right? It's over 2 hours, isn't it?
I don't know, but I love it though.
Yeah, it's not like this. It's not a slog for sure, but yeah. Okay, yeah, we'll get that on the calendar and see if anybody else wants to watch it. I think we got it. Okay. Any final thoughts on Waterworld? Yeah, me either. I'm ready to not think about it anymore. I'm gonna.
I will say this: since I'd watched it a month ago, and we were gonna watch it today, and I was like, maybe I should. Like yesterday, I was like, maybe I should just squeeze it in, or just kind of have it going on in the background while I'm doing other stuff. And then I was like, nah.
Yeah.
So it's like I didn't hate it, but I don't really want to watch it at all ever again.
Yeah. We mentioned Mutiny on the Bounty, but that was one of our longest episodes, I think, because the movie's so long. But it took me and Michelle weeks to watch it because we both kept falling asleep as we were watching it. And like I said, there's an actual. It's back. I can't remember when it was made, early '60s, whatever. but it was made
had
back
an
in
actual intermission.
An actual intermission built into the movie back when they used to do that. So you're in for a treat. But
I spent most of my time trying to figure out if Brando was wearing a girdle or not. Like that's how, because that was a thing apparently in that movie. Because he was partying so hard that his weight fluctuations were all over the place.
Yeah.
And the movie production people were mad and they had to shove him in these girdles.
I'll tell you, I don't know
so I spent my time trying to figure out if he was in a girdle or not.
I would recommend
That's
that
how bad
episode.
that
Episode of the podcast. If you're looking for something to listen to, Gilbert, I would recommend that episode of the podcast because the making of that movie was so much more fun than the movie. And I looked it up beforehand and found all this stuff on IMDb and in other places too. So I feel like it's trustworthy. But like Marlon Brando was
the wife there, like it's wild.
Yeah. Like Brando was crazy.
Wild. The behind the scenes were wild on that movie.
They were in they filmed it where in history it took place. I'm gonna cut all this out. But Brando had I just remember him having a plane load of hams and turkeys flown in for a party or something. And him and Trevor Howard, his opposite in the movie, did not get along in real life. And Trevor Howard was always drunk, and there was a lot of and you can tell that Brando wears these high heels kind of things to make him the same height as Trevor Howard. He couldn't be shorter than him.
It's crazy.
It was fun. So the backstory is a lot more fun than the actual movie. Did you have anything going on at the library that you wanted to talk about, Gilbert? Any a plug material or programs or anything?
Well, everything right now because of COVID is online. The library has pushed a lot of digital programming the last couple of months where we didn't really do that before. And now we've got tons of stuff going on all the time. All our stuff, I think, is either Facebook or on the library's YouTube. And we've got stuff for kids. We've got stuff for adults. I know some of our legal programs have been kind of airing on YouTube and stuff like that. So we've got stuff for all ages. We are open. Eight of our locations are open to the public so that people can come visit some of the libraries in person under limited capacity. And so we're checking everyone's temperatures at the entrance, and people have to wear a mask for the duration of their stay. But otherwise, if people actually want to come in, print something out on the computer, they can do that again, which is great.
Cool.
We're also providing curbside service at all the locations. So even if you don't feel comfortable coming in, you can still request your stuff, have it ready, call ahead of time, and then we'll just bring it out to your car.
Yeah. I've done curbside service, and I really like it. It was really nice. I just kind of I was out running errands. It's oh yeah, my curb pulled in. And then I like how y'all add some little flyers and stuff, some informational stuff too. So it's kind of oh, look at me, I'm getting some of this extra stuff. So y'all done a great job with that. So.
I wanna plug the Libby app because how Gilbert and I met actually is on the library's Instagram a long time ago, before COVID. Me and you were going back and forth making Dracula jokes about holy water and something like that. And then I had a problem with my library card months later during the pandemic, and I emailed you guys your help email, and you're the one that responded, and I recognized the name, and I was like, why do I recognize that? And I was like, oh yeah, he's the guy I was joking around with on the whatever. It's such a weird connection. And then you helped me get my library card renewed, and I got the Libby app, and that has been so great because I have listened to I don't know how many, probably about 30 audiobooks since I got it in the summer. It's really upped my reading count, and I found a lot of really great stuff on there that I wouldn't normally come across, or that I wouldn't buy because it's an author that I've never heard of, and I'm not gonna buy it just because
$24
yeah. So I found some really, really great stuff, and so Libby app, and you use your Fort Worth Library card to sign up for that. And there's also not only audiobooks but Kindle books and or ebooks, and you can have it. I use my Kindle to read everything, and you can have it sent to your Kindle. It's so easy to use. It's so great. And so Libby, Libby, and you sign up with your Fort Worth Library card. Yeah, little plug. It's wonderful.
Wait, are you I remember one of your videos. Did you put Dracula as your favorite book?
Not in a video. I don't know if it was video or pictures, but there was some posts where we were kind of talking about like taking pictures or something, or what we were reading, and I had just started or finished reading Dracula.
Yeah.
And that just kind of.
That's what.
No, I picked Dracula as one of my favorite books whenever we did a thing.
Oh yeah,
too.
that's
that
right. Yeah.
book is like, I was like, I feel like you were the Dracula guy. I couldn't quite remember.
That's right. Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah. The library posted you with your favorite book, and I was like, oh, Dracula. And I think that's back when that Dracula Netflix came out, Michelle. And so I was like, Dracula fever.
That's why.
And when I watched it, I had a literal fever.
Super cool. And then
Yeah, the first two episodes of that Dracula Netflix series are amazing, and then it really goes downhill in that third episode.
What were they doing?
So I think
I don't know where it went, and I hated it by the end.
Yeah, if people wanted to watch that series, I highly recommend the first 2 episodes, and maybe just end it there, because I think you don't have to watch the third episode.
Yeah, it's a little risque. Warning everybody, it's Dracula.
It's not for kids. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And
it's Dracula.
Pretty gruesome.
We'll leave it at that.
Pretty gruesome stuff, yeah.
But I loved it. I was like, oh my goodness. And I love the book. The book is just so good.
It's good, yeah.
So good. It's this book right
in case you ever want the book and we don't have it, there's 2 ways for us to get something. There's I want to say our website has recently changed, but I think in like the contact us section or something, there's a tab for suggesting a purchase. You can fill that out and send it in, and anything that you can't find, not just at like one library, but if none of the libraries in Fort Worth have it, then we'll get it in. But also, if we don't have an ebook or audiobook, so we have 2 apps. There's Overdrive and there's Libby, and Overdrive is the older one, and kind of Libby was the newer, fresher, kind of cuter version that's easier to use, and everyone moved to that one. But Overdrive does something that Libby does not. If you search for something that we don't have, or that doesn't populate any results in Overdrive, Overdrive will give you an option to make a recommendation right there from within the app. Oh. And as long as 3 people make the same recommendation, the system automatically purchases it. So tell your friends and just be like, hey, I want this book. Go request this for me.
That's great.
Way. So you can be like, hey, mom, dad.
Request this, please.
That's awesome.
That's good to know. Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for listening. I hope that you watched Waterworld along with us. Actually, I hope that you didn't. But let us know if you have any suggestions for future movies, and we'll get them on the calendar. And thank you very much, Gilbert from Fort Worth Public Library, for joining us. And all right, see you next time.